Good evening, welcome everybody here. It's 6 o'clock, November 18, 2019. Time to call the city council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Abbott?
Here.
Mr. Austin? Mr. Blankenship?
Here.
Mr. Eggers?
Here.
Mr. Hukin?
Here.
Mr. Wertz?
Here.
Mr. Richards?
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Wertz will do the prayer and pledge, please.
Okay, let's bow our heads. Father, be with our military men and women around the world who provide us our many freedoms. Be with all of Franklin's first responders, the police and fire departments who protect our city. Be with all city employees who provide the many services, making Franklin's citizens an enjoyable community. Father, be with our mayor, clerk, attorney, and city council as we conduct the business of Franklin. Let us be thankful as we celebrate Thanksgiving holiday over the next few days. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, again, thank you for attending tonight. Is there any announcements, any presentations, any public comments? Hearing none, we'll go to, yes, we do have an announcement. Sorry, Mr. Cochran, Chief. Presentation.
Yeah, real quick, we'll just do it from here if that's okay.
Sure.
I want to thank the Wilcox family for donating a canine vest for one of our canines. They were gracious enough to donate $1,000 to purchase this vest. So it means that's funds that we don't have to take out of our budget, and also it's a good way for us to partner with our community members, which we talk a lot about at the police department. This was one canine that did not have a vest in the department, and they actually reached out to me and said, hey, we moved here from Shelbyville. We really like what we're seeing in the community, and we want to try and help out and get involved. So not only did they donate the vest, but we asked them to come here this evening. They didn't want to. We just want to.
I'm not wanted or
Yeah.
anything. At least I don't think so.
But honestly, on behalf of the police department, it means a lot to me to have folks come forward and be willing to donate funds to be able to buy these things, and we don't have to come to the board now. So I just wanted to bring in front of council. We already did a presentation and certificate in front of the board of works. So I just want to welcome you to Franklin, and hopefully you'll find something great to do here, but we appreciate it.
It's an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have any other announcements, presentations, public comments, or donations of stuff to help? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve, but I wasn't able to read them. I even checked the website and did not see them on there either. I know Greg, I don't know if he's still here or not, but I know he's updating the website, so maybe that has gotten lost in translation. I would ask that we table the approval of the previous meeting minutes until those can be read.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second to table the meetings until our next meeting, and hopefully they'll be able to be read. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go on to old business.
Move to read all old business by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, both of these are open for public hearing. The first one being Common Council Ordinance Number 19-06, an ordinance approving Resolution 2019-15 of the City of Franklin, Indiana Planning Commission, rezoning certain property to mixed-use regional center to be known as the Thompson rezoning. City Planner Joanna Myers, who is not here, and I think Ms. Gray is going to take this.
Yes, sir, I can handle this. And Mr. Evans, jump in if anything. This comes to you with a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission for a request to rezone the property up on 31 commonly known as the Thompson property. The request is for it to be rezoned from its current agricultural and IG industrial zoning to mixed-use regional center, or MXC. The planning commission heard this, also had a public hearing. There was no negative public comment, only support from the planning commission members, as well as the petitioner and his attorney are here. I would note that MXC is what's called for in our comprehensive plan. The property will still be subject to the gateway overlay zone, so we'll have our heightened architectural structures along 31. Also, I think of significance to the planning commission is the adjoining property is already zoned MXC. That would be the property to the north, and the property to the property to the west is above the zone MXC. So with that, I would entertain any questions I would have. It's open for a public hearing if anybody in the audience has any questions. And it is ready, if you so desire, for action and approval tonight.
Is it at MXC or MXR?
MXR, I'm sorry.
Okay, as Ms. Gray stated, it is open for public hearing, so if anyone from the audience would want to comment, ask a question, now's the time.
MXR is the Noka Regional Center. It's on 31, so. This is also part of the zoned area for the enterprise zone, is it not, Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
For the enterprise zone, for the tax incentives.
Okay, hearing no one coming forward with public hearing, we will close public hearing. So now, if council have any more questions or would make a motion?
I make a motion to approve Common Council Ordinance number 19-06.
Second.
Second by Mr. Abbott, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion is passed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, next, amended Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 19-14, fixing the annual salary and providing compensation for all elected officials of the city of Franklin, Indiana for the year 2020, Clerk Treasurer James Rhodes. James, you want to explain again what this is about, because we've already passed our budget?
Correct.
Yes.
This was just, as I stated last meeting, we, and the clerk treasurer's office went to a state board of accounts meeting. They request now that it be stated in our salary ordinance for elected officials, that it states that we're also, we have non-monetary benefits. And so we put an asterisk and put those in our salary ordinance. No monetary amounts changed. It just lists that we also get life insurance, health insurance, disability, retirement, and pension benefits.
And I might add, gentlemen, as a reminder, not all elected officials get that. You are elected officials, you are not qualified for that, but it is
We
designated for the
specifically
mayor,
stated,
clerk treasurer, and the city court judge, and that has been it has been that way since I can recall. And it's always acceptable to the state board of accounts, but now they decide they want it in an asterisk on our actual.
So say this is that asterisk thing we saw
That's
last
the
time.
asterisk.
correct.
Correct.
Now, my only problem with this is that it's to be signed by the council president. He is not here.
Can the vice president sign it?
The council can, authorize it.
If they so state.
We have to make a motion to authorize?
Yes.
Okay, let's open this one up first
Right.
for public hearing. Anybody has any questions from the public? Now's the time to do that. And seeing no one move forward, we will close the public hearing. So,
I would make a motion that Vice President could sign in place of Ken Austin
And approve the resolution.
and approve the resolution in the words that Lynn said.
okay, we have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Mr. Richards. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, so Mr. Eggers can sign as vice president. Okay, thank you. That gets us to new business.
Move to read new business by title only.
Second.
Second by Mr. Allen. Okay, motion and a second to read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the very first item, we had a request today, it's request to share about the 2020 merger to become Aspire Economic Development and the Chamber Alliance from Dana Monson and Christian Sklowski from JCDC. That one is going to be, I don't want to say tabled, it's taken off the agenda for now to come back at a later date. So we don't need to vote on that, it's just taken off. Item number 2, Common Council Resolution number 1907, real property tax abatement for Sunbeam Development, and Common Council Resolution 19-08, personal property tax abatement for Energizer Community Development Director, Crystal Lindsay. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Linke, Community Development Director for the city, and I'm here tonight to present to you the Economic Development Commission has forwarded a favorable recommendation. There are actually 2 separate tax abatements. Sunbeam Development is the owner of this property located, this is in the southeast corner of the I-65 interchange. This is the new 933,000 square foot shell building that Sunbeam started building in 2016 and recently finished. And Energizer Manufacturing would be the tenant of this property. And so, because this was built as a shell, there is an existing 10-year abatement on this property that was granted to Sunbeam before it was built. And then the subsequent request is for the build out to their specific needs. So there's a real property abatement. The estimated value of that is $4,100,000 for real property. And then there's also a personal property abatement for the approximate $58 million worth of personal property that would be moving to Indiana. Portion of that is new equipment, some of the majority of that is used, but that is the estimated total value for personal property. So last week, the Economic Development Commission meeting was held in this room on Tuesday, and they forwarded a favorable recommendation for both the real property and personal property abatements, both at 10 years, both with a 2% economic development fee. The real property abatement had a standard deduction table, and the personal property abatement had a slightly modified deduction table. And there were some reasons for that. And I do have representatives from Energizer here tonight. Becky and Marcus and Brad is who we've been working with mainly on the project, and of course Dana's here as well with JCDC. And so they're here to answer any questions. They did answer quite a few questions at the Economic Development Commission meeting and are happy to do that again tonight. So I just wanted to introduce that. The number of jobs is 440 jobs. Average hourly wage is about $18.30. There's more details of all of that in the staff report that's attached. So I'd like to go ahead and let Brad kind of give you just a brief overview of the project, and then they can answer any questions that you might have.
Welcome back, Brad.
It's good time to be in Indiana, right? Because I was in Illinois, so I came over to Indiana today. But thank you, council, thank you for sitting in front and hearing about my client, Energizer. We're really excited about the opportunity about the beautiful 933,000, I believe 825 square foot building with 180 cross staff, beautifully built building by Sunbeam, brand new, with the ability to occupy it for the first time and create what we'll call a mega node. And I'll let Mark describe a little bit more what the mega node is, but I don't want to overstep any bounds. But we'll have 440 plus employees. At peak periods, we could have more. We have periods of time where we have demand in the product, but really excited we're going to have packaging and distribution there. And as you know a little bit about the history about Energizer, if you followed, Energizer actually acquired the Rayovac brand as well too, including some of the Spectrum Auto brands. So we have a sample of the product that will be in the building that will be distributed and packaged out of this facility. Not everything will be, but it's a sample of what is. So we thought we'd show you kind of a little bit of it.
If I may approach, I can, well, Brad's talking.
Yeah. Well, we heard that, what is it, the Christmas story? That the mayor has a suit and is gonna dress up as the
I got a good sense of humor too.
Yeah. So from an Energizer's perspective, we,
I don't know how you use this.
so just to give you kind of some history about Energizer, Energizer's been around since 1896. And Energizer consists now of Energizer, Everready, and Rayovac battery bands. Batteries are still prevalent, I think you see them every single day. If you walk into a Walgreens, CVS, Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, Walgreens, Walmart, Target, Energizer's right there on the end cap, and we've seen the demand and the growth. Mark, I don't want to misquote on the number, but now that Energizer has bought Rayovac, we have greater than,
It's roughly half, roughly 50, it goes up and down depending on the period, it's roughly 50% of market share in the US.
so when we did the site selection project, we narrowed down to about 3 locations to kind of, bridge the gap. We kind of looked at, it was kind of like a triangle with our supply chain, study telling us to be somewhere within the middle. We looked at northern Kentucky, we looked at Columbus, Ohio, and we looked at Franklin, Indiana. And one of the aspects was we looked at the overall loaded cost as to how you're gonna ship a product. And one of the disadvantages, Indiana's a great state to do business with, and I wanna point that out, and very welcoming and business friendly, but one of the disadvantages that Indiana had was it imposed, you had property taxes and you also imposed personal property taxes. The location in Ohio had a 15-year, 100% property tax abatement, and it had a 15-year or in perpetuity personal property tax abatement. The importance for us in getting some alleviated costs was to lower the cost to meet the cost delta gap, as we would say. And what that was really driven by was about the personal property tax. So we are entering into, or will hopefully be entering into a 15-year lease, and due to that, one of the things we try to get creative is how we would do something in a shortened period, even though we were going to be here for 15 years. And if you want, I can get into the long litany of Indiana history relative to personal property tax, but Governor Holcomb knows all about it, and so does the IEDC, and they've changed some of the legislation as time has gone on, and added to a 20-year abatement because they understand that it's a competition between Ohio and Indiana. But we put our thinking hats on together, Becky, myself, Krista, and Dana, and the mayor, and we came up with a solution that really kind of puts Indiana in the driver's seat to win this deal and really make us excited. So we're thankful for what has been offered, and we can answer any questions, but all these, I would hope, and I'm not going to speak out of turn, but most of these products will be in the facility and will at some point touch someone in Franklin, Indiana.
Yeah, absolutely. So the products that we distributed there are just a sampling of the number of products that we had. We're running through our facilities trying to get an idea of everything that would come out of this facility. Batteries, lights, chargers predominantly. Did you hand out some of the auto care items too?
I don't know.
That's all right there, yeah, that's all. So we also do auto care products, Armor All, STP, Eagle One, etc., fragrances, California scents. That will be down in a separate facility. I suppose at some point there could be crossover, but at least right now, this facility would be primarily intended for packaging and distribution of lights, batteries, and chargers.
So I just want to add a little bit of something here, Brad, to add what you had to say. With working through the thing that the property tax stuff, it wasn't all the city didn't take all the brunt. I want to make sure that the citizens know we didn't take all the hit there. And you did try to want us to go to that 100%, and I just said we can't do that. But what we did at that point, we went back to the state. The state helped you with some more tax abatement to kind of fill the gap. And the owner of Sunbeam Development Corporation, I think that we ought to get it out there that they also helped with that. So everybody doesn't think it's just the city gave a whole lot of stuff.
I would
It's not
say,
the facts.
this was a true team effort from the landlord, the state, and the local community. And it made us feel that we were, I think the company's position every time we were on the phone was that we wanted to be, if we were wanted here, from everybody that was wanting to have us, and it's a really warm feeling, and then obviously, you know, we talked about it, we've all today drove around town too, and it's, I think it's gonna be a good facility when our management people, location, when our management people come here as well too. We think that, you know, that was part of picking Franklin was the community, the participation from the state, the local, and the landlord. The landlord contributed a significant amount of, a significant amount to make this deal happen.
Right, and the abatement is 10 years, not the 15 years.
Yeah, correct, yes.
And the other states was 15 years, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Well,
15,
Ohio doesn't have a personal property tax, so that,
Right.
and there's
and they have a 10-year, it was a 15-year abatement on their real personal property tax, so on the building itself.
so our delta was, and I can present, I can walk out, we did it. Our initial calculation when we, came off approach, but basically, it was I don't want to misquote it, it was a $10 million spread, just in taxes that we were paying. The unique thing about Indiana, which, this was before the abatement, but the unique thing about Indiana was that Indiana doesn't allow you to fully depreciate your personal assets. So while we're bringing, to Krista's point, about $58 million in machinery and equipment, some of that machinery and equipment is old and been in place in service since 1986, but Indiana has a floor on their cap, so it creates us to never fully depreciate our personal property assets. So we'll be paying the personal property tax while we were here, so that was one of the reasons that the transferring of the assets was really expensive. But I think, you know, I can tease it. Problem is once those assets are in the building, we'll probably be here forever, so we're gonna be paying taxes on them for a long period of time. Because what did we say, the newest building we have is from when?
Yeah, I'm in the newest building, and it was built in 1982. So we have buildings that go back to the turn of the century, so turn of the last century, not 2000. So we tend to stick around for a while.
Don't want to interrupt you, Mayor.
Go ahead.
So I'm reading this right, and folks in the public don't have this in front of them to see this, but you're saying that in the way I read this, is this the assessed value of $526.98 in year 10, or is that the tax that's paid, real estate taxes?
Yeah, that'll be these will be the assessed value.
Okay, so-
Yeah, so these are all the assessed value as it will be, and the reason you see that, is because the assets will be placed in the service over a period of time.
Right.
But, yeah,
Well, the only reason I say this, I understand how all this works, most of it, how it works. Chris is lurking in the background here, but I'm just saying this for the benefit of some that don't see this often, so they have a better understanding of what this is. Taxes aren't being waived into perpetuity on this thing. At the end of 10 years,
yeah.
you're gonna be paying full taxes.
Right.
And essentially, can you give us like a ballpark of what that might be? We're not gonna hold you to it, but
Well, on the personal taxes, it's estimated to be over 500,000, and then on the real property, it's a very similar amount.
It's gonna be, we're gonna be, when we're fully rolling, which is, on the real will be in year 9 of the lease, and then on the personal in year 10, you're probably gonna, I mean, we will assume the building could appreciate value, we have no idea, I have no crystal ball into the future, but at a minimum, they'll be paying $1 million in taxes.
so after year 10, and it's all,
And
it
that's per
comes,
year.
yeah, it comes in gradually.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps you get ramped up is what it does. And at the end of 10 years, and we're gonna hope, I may not be here in 20 years, but you're gonna be, somebody's gonna be paying a pretty good amount of tax in 20 years. And I'm gonna say this, I'll kind of get on my soapbox, because I remember this, back in the 80s, a developer named Wayne Nelson tried to build an apartment building on the east side of Franklin. And the EDC at that time approved it, and it created kind of a firestorm, and it was withdrawn. And I remember what the developer said. He said, well, if you don't do this, the next people I'm talking to is a church, and you know how much tax they pay. And essentially, right now, there's 2 churches on that property. And that was, I would say around 1990 when they would have started paying full tax. And we would have been having the benefit of that. The problem that Franklin has, and I know you see this a lot, is that Franklin has a large base that is not taxable, probably more so than any community in our county. And so we have to have that balance of residential, industrial, commercial, you gotta have a good mix that brings in that tax, and sometimes in order to get that, you've got to incentive to do this. So I think this is a good thing that we're doing. I think we've got quality folks that are developing and also gonna be occupying the space. And I think in the long term, this is a good deal. So if people think in the short run it's a bad thing, it's not.
Well,
It all works
it's
out.
like you said, it gives us the ability to slowly walk up the mountain.
Yeah,
As opposed to getting it, and, we're gonna have a lot of upfront initial capital costs that will drive our operations here. The other thing, too, I mean, this was a highly competitive building as well, too. I know that Sunbeam had turned away some other prospective tenants for the ability to have my client here. They feel comfortable that they're gonna be in a long-term marriage with the company, and we as a company feel really good about Franklin and about the developer and the state of Indiana. It's been a really, really positive experience up to this point, and hopefully in a couple minutes it'll be continued more positive, but with that being the case, it's been an extremely positive experience going through Indiana throughout this process, and this was a really highly competitive site selection project.
but it also, we're not even talking about the number of jobs that everybody will have an opportunity to try to obtain a job.
Yeah.
And so it'll be a good thing for our community, and, there'll be well-paying jobs, and they'll have careers, insurance, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So,
Can we talk about the benefits? You do have benefits, yes, and I want, if you can, just go on the record to say that. We talked about it in one of our meetings.
Doing it all of the employees would be offered full health insurance that includes vision, dental, 401k, opportunity for like tuition reimbursement or training type opportunities.
It's not really that,
Paid holidays, paid time off.
but we actually got two new holidays for 2020. We do matching on donations, so if you donate to a charity, Energizer matches that 100%. So a lot of things like that.
I know that's things that we talked about that really hasn't been put out there. I want, also, and I don't want to keep talking here, because I'm pretty excited about this. Talking with Sunbeam Development Corporation, they have turned down different companies that didn't have the pay structure or the benefits, and they could have just went and rented it, just to rent it. But whenever we did, they were here in front of us for a tax abatement, and they said they want to have the right fit for the community. So I really believe that Sunbeam Development Corporation is also good for our community. And one other thing, you did the 2% economic development fee. You did agree to do that, and what you said, your company sees that as a feel-good tax to give back into the community.
Us partnering with the community.
Right.
I mean, when we went through the site selection process, to kind of give you, I could get into site selection in depth, but like it's really kind of a funnel process, and it's really site elimination. And one of the things that was really important to the company going forward was to have a good relationship and a good feel-good with all the three communities. We had it, but we really felt it here as well too, and giving back to the community was really important to us. And we're excited to be, what I think Dana said was be like one of the quickest ramp up of largest employees in the city. So we're really excited to be the brand name in the community and be a partner going forward. And everything here that we believe is creating good public policy and having a good public-private partnership with the city. We want to be there for you when we can, and hopefully you'll be there for us, after the excitement of the ribbon cutting goes away.
Absolutely.
Steve, do you want to on board with that 2%? What would we do with that 2%?
What Krista would.
Krista, okay. Because that is important, that does.
So each year, any of the tax abatements that have an economic development fee on them, those are a special assessment line on each company's tax bill, and those are collected through the tax process by the county. And then each year, the Economic Development Commission finds out how much is due, and we take applications at the Economic Development Commission level. They make a recommendation to you, City Council, and then you have the final vote on how those funds get to be spent. And it's been a different project every year. This past year, we used it to activate a couple of our alleys downtown, and we used it through the Franklin Development Corporation to fund a co-working space to drive kind of that small business development downtown. And we've used it for lots of different things, the holiday lighting, to buy new lights. I just have this weird sponsorship opportunity in my head with Energizer and our lighting. But we'll talk about that later. So just things like that. Each year is a different project, but it really, the nonprofits that are eligible for those fees are nonprofits that are active in economic development. So Johnson County Development Corporation, the Chamber, Discover Downtown Franklin, Franklin Development Corporation, and then Franklin Heritage. So it's just a really neat opportunity to direct funds to some of the things that we don't have an easy way to fund otherwise. And so it's really nice to see a company come in and be open to participating in that. It's just a kind of nice sign of things to come. So.
You know, I think too, one of the things that was important to us is we're gonna make this our home, for something that's really important for our company going forward, and, wanna be a good corporate citizen. So that's just kind of our philosophy. We're gonna need the community as well to provide us a workforce and provide all the other services that you don't realize of the economic impact that's created when the 400 and some odd jobs will be here, because we're gonna create other jobs as well too. So we want to be in a community that's a thriving community that we can get back to and grow within, so that when we need new, when the snowplow company is going to plow the snow, that they're within the community and they're close by, and we need fixing to anything potentially in the building, that we have good quality people that have come here because of the economic impact that we've created by coming into this community. And we see that virtue here in this community.
So you know the man does have a plow.
I did not. I did. I didn't load that. I didn't throw up that softball for them. But, you know, last time we were here, it was snowing and everything was plowed. So today it's a little bit more.
No, the
He
Muncie,
runs into things.
no, the Muncie mayor just got arrested today, and I want nothing to do with it. Wow. So, anyway, what I want to do is open it up to public hearing. If anybody wants to chime in or ask any questions, please feel free. Now's the time.
I have a question. I'm sorry I interrupted. I was trying to get to the agenda, but it says that the 413 jobs, the hourly wage is going to be, the average will be $16.84. So what's the real low, what's not the average, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Kathy, were you able to pick that up on your recorder?
I couldn't give a name, but I got,
Okay.
I'll pick it up.
You can provide the name afterwards, can't you, ma'am?
Sure, I mean,
For a minute.
okay.
So what are the outliers in terms of the salary?
That is, so I'm going back to the spreadsheets in my head since I don't have them in front of me.
Roughly.
I mean, it was right around, you have it in there? I mean,
Yeah.
we did, I don't want to misspeak and have it not be accurate.
I think it was 16.
16 something.
16.
It was, and I don't have the exact, like, to the penny.
It's $16.84 you say is the average hourly wage. That's an average. So
Correct.
what
Yes,
is?
but that is, so a lot of the workers it's a distribution center, and so those will be some of the lower, well, that's where the majority of the jobs would be, so that is the average. We will have higher paying jobs, to run the facility and management of the facility. That would bring that up a little bit, but predominantly because the large number would be distribution related jobs. That is going to drive it.
And I think the other thing too, to be cognizant of, is we put a safe number in there. We have no idea what the market's gonna bear. Unemployment rate is extremely low. So I will tell you that a job most likely will be hired for what a job we can hire people for. We picked a number that we felt that would save, but we're gonna have different tranches of jobs because there's gonna be two different types of operations within the facility. You will have some low-level laborers in the facility that may have dropped down the average, but we're going to be having packaging folks, we're gonna have engineers, maintenance folks, forklift drivers. So there's a definite driver into other aspects of the organization, but there will be a bunch of people on the hourly side that make a lot more at the 40, 80 an hour, but we're gonna have some entry-level people, and that's what the market dictates.
On the form you sent out, it's 413 at an average wage of $16.84. and 27 employees at $40.80.
I was there, I just meant, what's your, I guess my question was actually is, what will the lowest wage be?
You don't know exactly, because
Okay.
we have like a range, and I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me either, but it come from mathematical
I mean, it
calculation.
is driven by the market. So
Sure.
we pay a competitive wage, so, I just don't have that, I don't wanna say a number and then not be
Sure.
accurate.
Thank
We
you.
can get back to you on that.
So, and those lower paid ones will also have a benefit, correct?
Yes, those are
Yeah.
not inclusive of any benefit package, that would also be on top of that. So that is just the base pay.
Yes, sir.
You gonna be bringing your help with you, or are you gonna hire most of your help locally?
It would be local. We, currently Energizer does not have a significant presence at all in Indiana, so we would be hiring locally.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there will be some people that will come from other areas, but the vast majority will be local.
Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Does anybody else have questions on the council?
Should this be 2 motions?
Krista, this already has its ERA designation, so
It
it's
does.
ready for the council's action?
Yeah, so there's no,
Since we've already got the ERA.
the ERA was designated, when the shell was built, so it's still current. But there are two separate resolutions because one is in the name of Sunbeam and one is in the name of Energizer. And so there's two separate resolutions, they
They should
should
be acted on separately.
be
That's
separate.
motions. Yes.
If there's not any more questions, we will be open to somebody making a motion.
I move to approve Common Council Resolution 1907, abatement, real property tax abatement for Sunbeam Development.
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Mr. Richards. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that one passes.
Okay, sir, that is for 10 units, correct?
Correct.
Yes, as presented.
Okay. So anyone?
And I move to approve Common Council Resolution number 19-08, personal property tax abatement for Energizer, as presented.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wertz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you can hit the drum now.
Put that down there so I don't get a lot of Facebook. Okay, so we'll move on to item number 3. Common Council Budgetary Resolution number 19-11, authorizing a transfer from City Hall services to City Hall supplies, an amount of $5,000. That's not new money, that is shifted money that's already in the budget, so we can get through the end of the year. So I would need, any other questions on that? If not, I'll just need a motion so we can shift it to pay our bills.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Second by Mr. Dugan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, another one, it's the end of the year. Common Council does budgetary resolution number 19-12, authorizing a transfer from Parks Capital Fund 400 to Park Services 300 in the amount of $4,867. Park Superintendent Chip Warner. Same thing, Chip is not here, Chip is here. He never wanted to hear from money. But if there's no questions, it's the same thing, just so they can shift the funds that's already been appropriated to get to the end of the year.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Edwards. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. Common Council Budgetary Resolution number 19-13, authorizing a transfer from MVH part-time, MVH services, and MVH Capital to MVH Supplies in the total amount of $30,851.20. Street Commissioner Brett Jones, who's standing at the podium, so you have to speak.
Oh, tis the season, right, for moving money around, but I'm just like the mayor and Chip. We have the funds, we've just been all the places that I can't use them currently, so I just need to move them from all of those locations into our 200. So approved.
That's easy enough. Make a motion to approve.
Second. Second by Mr. Richards. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That gets us to other business. I just want to touch on something in other business that we did tonight in our Border Works. The City Council had approved for the Border Works the 2020 budget. I know we did last year, and I want to talk about some of the things that we do to help in our community that doesn't always get out there. We used to have organizations come and talk to us about the funds that the city gives, the tax dollars, how it helps their organizations, which helps our community. For example, the helpline, we give $3,000 a year to the helpline, and what that is, whenever you have people say, who do we call for help? We've lost our home, or we need food, or we need this. You can always call Helpline. It's a 24-hour service that somebody can head you in the right direction. Just wanted everybody to know that the city helps with that. Also, the senior services, the city gives $15,000 a year to help with transportation for the senior services and food. That's also a good thing for our community. Boys and Girls Club, we give $26,000 a year to our local Boys and Girls Club. We own the building, they pay $1 rent, we pay all the utilities, and we pay all the maintenance. That's huge for what we do for our Boys and Girls Club, which is much needed. And then our Girls Club Inc., we give $22,000 a year. They do own their own building, but we give them cash to help with their expenses and help with the kids that go there. Access Johnson County, again, some transportation opportunities. We give $18,500 a year out of our tax funds. We give Discover Downtown Franklin $15,000 a year. Franklin Education Connection, we have in the budget here for $1,000 a year, but we have a contract with them for $3,000 a year that we will take out of the Board of Works somewhere to make up the other $2,000 there. And Leadership Johnson County, we give $2,000 a year. The City Council approved that budget, and tonight the Board of Works went ahead and approved to make those expenditures. I just think it's very important that our community realizes that we do a lot of stuff in our community, and we give back to a lot of organizations that need help, and it's not all on the roads and alleyways. So thank you, council, for that, and I just wanted to get that out there, that the Board of Works approved that tonight. Okay, that's all the other business that I had. So, Mr. Adams, how about council?
That was a great thing I seen online today with the adult center, with the Mayor's Youth group that you have there, so that was really nice. We have a plan commission meeting tomorrow at 6 o'clock here in these chambers. And other than that, that's all I got.
I'm glad you brought up about the Mayor's Youth Council. That is a great project. This year, the Mayor's Youth Council touched on a project of at our adult center, active adult center. They needed new flooring, and the Board of Works, the city paid for the work, the product. But our Mayor's Youth Council put that whole program together. They got with the builder and carpet people and hardwood people, moved all the furniture, and it was pretty neat to see our young generation working with the older generation today and see the joy in both of them's face and the satisfaction of that. That was pretty nice.
And I forgot to mention Libby's Barbecue and with Jack's Donuts.
Yes.
Providing food, so.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. There's over, I'd say, 200 people there with you, Tara, so it's pretty nice.
Mayor, how much did your youth council kick in? I mean, the city helped the youth council last year on that. Was it an inclusive Parks, last there at Blue Heron, how much does the city, I know we were a contributor for that.
Yeah, the mayor's youth council raised right at $100,000 for that, and then the city put in about 200,000, maybe 250 for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a real upgrade at Blue Heron. And
Yeah, that's one of the most used parks we have, and I think it's good that we have our youth involved so they can come back someday and when they go to college or go to work or whatever they do, they come back and say, this is what we did to help our
The
community.
kids took the lead on it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
It's one of the few special needs playgrounds in Johnson County too.
Yeah, that was an awesome project. Anything else, Bob?
Yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. Kind of along the same theme, I didn't know you were gonna mention these things that the city did, but there were things outgoing in our community that you all can get involved in, and many of you are already involved in these things that help everyone. On December 5th, the Good Cheer Fund and the Interchurch Food Pantry will benefit by the Jim Rhodes Memorial Ball Roast that's sponsored by the Franklin Rotary Club. And last year they raised close to $35,000, half went to the Good Cheer Fund, roughly half went to the food pantry. Marty, you've been involved in the Good Cheer Fund probably, what, 30 or 40 years, about as long as I've been. But each year, the Good Cheer Fund delivered, I think last year, we in excess of 700 food baskets to people in the county. What people don't realize is most of those food items are either purchased through donations that come from everybody like you folks, and also donations that come through canned goods through the school. And not every one of those dollars is spent because it's just due to the logistics of it, but the excess typically flows from the Good Cheer Fund over to the food pantry. Excess canned goods and dollars, I think the Good Cheer Fund donated $10,000 roughly last year to the food pantry. The Good Cheer Fund, I'm going to give a shout out to it. It's been in our community since 1921. Kind of started with some local churches in Franklin. It's expanded over the years to Johnson County. Eddie Teets, who is still involved, chaired it for 35 years, and Jake Sappenfield takes care of it right now, doing a great job with that. And the food pantry, I think, has been around probably 30 years. I don't know as much about it, but it serves the whole county too. And again, a shout out to them and all the other food pantries that people do to help. I know you mentioned senior services and so forth. Sorry to get on my soapbox a little bit, but I think people need to be aware of these things because they are entities and things that people can get involved in a very positive way. If you want to see that kind of work in action, the Saturday before Christmas, go up to the REMC at noon, and you'll see a herd of kids from ages 2 or 3 years old all the way up to high school and adults sorting baskets and getting those things ready to go. Jane, your husband was a big part of the raising of dollars through the hog race. Right now, there's an endowment established with the Community Foundation that helps with that as well. So it's a good community thing that is not owned by anybody, it's owned by our community. We all take part in it. And again, in a couple of years, we're going to take another year, we're going to be celebrating 100 years of that activity. So sorry to be on my, taking all the time, but I just think people need to be aware of these things because there's a lot of stuff that goes on that people maybe don't see or recognize that help our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Richard?
There'll be an RDC meeting at 8 a.m. here in City Hall tomorrow.
So.
I wish everybody a happy and healthy Thanksgiving.
No comment?
Welcome to Franklin. We're happy to have you. We're excited.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Richard?
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Energizer to Franklin. I'm glad a company's coming in that's already household name. And wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Ms. Rhodes?
Just got notification today that our 2020 budget has been approved by the DLGF, so we can just spend that money January 1.
Thank you.
I don't plan to take this stuff home with me, so anybody that want any of this, there's batteries and flashlights.
Maybe Energizer wants back to sell it.
Sarah, can you put it with the Christmas gift for the employees? Sure.
There you go, okay.
All right, so I guess we'll need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Richards, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
And maybe